Welcome to Aren't Asians All Alike? I hope your answer will be no. Caterers and event professionals, this episode is for you. If you want to avoid ridiculous, embarrassing, culturally insensitive guffaws and mistakes that people want to talk about on their blogs and their podcasts and their presentations, then listen in. This is for you. So this one is called Let's Eat Asian Food and Avoid Embarrassing Catering Mistakes. My name is Jolene Jang, Asian American ambassador, and I educate people on Asian Americans. On my journey back from the Muhammad Ali Awards in Louisville, Kentucky, I was really delighted and grateful to get the humanitarian award and by Louisville Tourism, and then to go to the Muhammad Ali Awards. And I was in the airport, either there or somewhere, and I heard a lady say, "Let's get Asian food." And I laughed to myself, what is Asian food? What does that mean? In Seattle, people say, "Oh, yeah, let's get some pho. How about some pad thai, sushi?" So I understand that people around the nation don't know anything about Asians, but even people who don't know anything about Asians still know Japanese food and Chinese food and that they're different. So caterers and event planners, listen in on this so you don't make this terrible blunder that happened last week. So I was in San Diego at a convention, which is touted as the best of the best, event planners from around the globe. And it was over 4,000 people, and we were at an offsite. I don't know how many people were there, but it was a big park outside. And so I walked in, and then you hear Chinese drums that belong to the lion dance team. Heard that over there. And then you see this sign right in front of me that says Cherry Blossom Festival, right? It's pink with the little parasols. And then behind it is the food. So you saw a pink cherry blossoms hanging from the ceiling. There's a little tree, and then there's a red lantern. And then from that is a red sign with gold that says Happy New Year in January in Chinese. And then there's the cherry blossom menu that says Cherry Blossom Corner, Catering Corner. So on that menu were 3 items: a bao bun, soup dumpling, and shrimp kimono. Okay, quick. Which culture, though, do those belong to? You should be able to tell 2 of them. The other one I think is made up, so I'm not sure. But okay, so soup dumplings. If you've been to Din Tai Fung, I think that's the most like commercial place, and this really good. So they make those little noodles, round noodles, and then they bundle it up and they make them in the window. Pretty exciting to look at. And then when you eat it, it's juicy. They are delicious from Din Tai Fung or other places. And I tried to make them. It's very difficult, a lot of work. So I was excited to try this food, even though it's not Japanese. Yeah, so it was terrible, but that is besides the point. The point is that it was not Japanese. So, and the next one, bao. Do we know hambao? Hambao, bao bun? There's different types of baos, and they're Chinese, and they're steamed, and they're usually white. It's white bread and usually a little sweet. And the hambaos are like a dim sum item, and dim sum, in case you don't know, is a meal between 11 and 2 usually, and at a Chinese place where they go around in these little carts of food, and it's delicious. Everything is steamed, some of it's deep fried. So the bao, that is Chinese. Yeah, so that is also not Japanese. And then I saw what looked like to be an egg roll, and I guess those were named the shrimp kimono. I don't know if they're being cute, like trying to say that, oh, these are little shrimp wearing a little outfit of a traditional silk dress from 880. So I don't know what the deal is. I could not believe that we're in San Diego, where the city is 17% Asian. And we're in the state that has the biggest population of Asian Americans, and this is happening. These 3 items are Chinese and they're sold as Japanese. How did this happen? How did they botch that up? This event, their capacity, I'm sure they were prepared for 2,000 or 3,000 people. And I don't know if there was like 40 to 100 people working on this thing, but were none of them Asian American? It's possible, but hard to believe, but it's possible. And okay, so let's say there were some Asian Americans. Um, were they asked for their opinion? Just what happened here? Now, if they didn't say anything, it could be because they wanted to help. They don't want to insult their boss, right? Because you don't want to say anything against the crowd. If you said, "Oh, actually, that's a mistake. That's the wrong culture. That's culturally insensitive." Like, how do you not know that, right? So there's plenty of reasons that Asian Americans wouldn't say anything. And that's what we talk about when I present, and I'll talk about as we go along in this podcast. The ramifications for this, for not getting any Asian American input, is terrible. That's just embarrassing for, like, I would expect that 47 other states to make this mistake. Okay, of course they did. But not from California, not from New York or New Jersey. Oh yeah, and also DC. Like, and I'm from Seattle, Washington, which could definitely happen. Absolutely could happen anywhere, really. But event planners and meeting professionals, think about this. Why did this happen, and how can you avoid that? What's the impact if you don't? Are you going to get the ears of Microsoft and Starbucks and Nike, these Fortune 500 companies, and Amazon? They're all in Seattle. You know what? They're kind of diverse, or more diverse than others, and they do value diversity, well, at least more than others. So that's not going to fly with them. And Microsoft, say, is big. In any tech companies, there's a lot of Asians and Asian Americans there. So making a big blunder like this is really embarrassing. So make sure you get people on the planning committee, or at least, let's say there's just 3 people on this event just 3 people. Get people like myself or other Asians that to talk about, hey, is this accurate? Right? Do some research, because it's painful to to make such a mistake. And also, it could be wonderful if you do it right and educate and honor the different cultures and honor the people who are of that culture. I think you want to avoid looking like an idiot, but also honor people of that culture. So there's a lot to be gained, and just to mitigate some reputation damage as well. I'd like to share with you also about my favorite store, Costco. Costco is my favorite. I don't know if every Asian loves Costco, but maybe. And on Netflix, if you have Netflix, I believe it's Sean Chang. He has long hair, and I think there's only one Sean Chang on Netflix. There's a lot of other around the world, and a number of comedians. I have never related so hard to what he was saying. And my aunt also was like, oh yeah, he's fun, because he's very clean humor, but just so relatable. So I do encourage you to learn about Asians through that comedy. So I was at Costco, and I go to Costco very often. I love it. I get my steps and I see what's new, and I just love it. And I was so surprised. I took a number of pictures last week of all the Asian food that they have. And I'm in North Seattle, and that's not even very Asian. If you go to Bellevue or Redmond, wholly Asian, and Redmond, super, super Indian. I can't wait to go over there. So really neat. But at mine, in Shoreline, they had, most of it was Chinese. They had golden swallow soup, $45 for the soup. I've never had it. Braised abalone, shrimp chips, fried calamari, pineapple cake, cake with seasoned meat floss, egg yolk pies. And they had the sampling for the Korean food. And there was a hot station. It was really popular. And it made me kind of proud that it was popular. Um, again, representation, no matter where it is, it's always great to have because we're just not used to it. So I took pictures of these banks and rows of Asian food. And then I went to the refrigerated section and saw, oh gosh, I saw this packaging and it had a custard bun. So as we know, a bao is Chinese, and it was yellow custard, something that you would get at a Chinese bakery. And then the brand was Okami. Well, Okami is Japanese. What are you doing? And then it said authentic Asian cuisine. Seriously? You have a picture of Chinese food, Japanese name, and you're saying authentic? Those do not go with each other. And it makes me mad. Like, I've been thinking about this for a while. It just seriously makes me mad because it's a miseducation. And I looked up this company. It is 1990. I believe it started in California, and I think probably Japanese Americans, because Fuji, Okami, these are Japanese names. And I don't know what happened. I wonder if they expanded too quickly or people wanted other Asian food. So they're like, oh, okay, we'll do other Asian food. And I want them to make money. But it's just such a miseducation. And I've been seeing these other, I looked up this other one that said authentic Asian food. They're two Thai people and they were selling, like, again, Chinese food. And there's plenty of teriyaki places, which is Japanese, that is run by Koreans. And then they have a Korean menu also. But the problem is they just mix them all in, right? And there's plenty of Korean owners who also do Chinese food, but then they mix in Korean food. And it's just confusing. It's confusion, right? Asian fusion is confusion. And caterers don't do that. Clearly label and have separate stations. I wouldn't even have stations. I would have the one culture, the one time, and learn about the culture. And here's another example. It says passport cuisine, and it says Japanese appetizers, authentic Japanese appetizers. And then it says pork shumai. Pork shumai is a dim sum item, and that is Chinese. So annoying, so maddening. And I don't know if you can understand why it matters, but because if you are an Asian American, people confuse you with the other Asian person. People ask you to calculate because of the model minority myth. And there's just so many of stereotypes, and we're grouped into the same person from the same country, with the same culture. And so all this stacks up on each other, and it is so annoying. And it also leads to hate. So I am folding my arms right now because it makes me so mad, because it makes my job so hard trying to educate people. And this, like, fake Asian food is not great. And these are Asian Americans who are doing that also. So, okay. So food education should be really enjoyable. This should be like the best way to learn, really. And when you go to a Korean restaurant, you learn about the service or not service, like, depends what you're doing. The metal tiny chopsticks. How come they have short, tiny chopsticks, and why are they metal? And all those little dishes, and what do they mean? And do you have any that are not pickled? So there's so much you can learn. And I don't rob people of this experience. Learning about Asian Americans is so interesting. I'm middle-aged and I get to learn all the time. And I think people could use a little new and different as well. And themes get really old quickly. So if you did an educational theme where it's not just caricature, but you are actually learning information about Japanese Americans, about Thai Americans, and highlighting the people at your organization or the company, or something like that. That's a I think it's a better way to go. I hope people strive for authenticity. This can really make you stand out because so many companies do not. And yikes, it's really hurtful. You have an opportunity to celebrate Lunar New Year. It's coming up on February 10th. And if you do this, do some studying and talk to people who celebrate Lunar New Year, and you will find it is not just Chinese. So look at the other cultures who celebrate and how do they celebrate. And if you do an event like this, be very clear of the holiday you're celebrating and why you're celebrating it, and get the stories of the people who actually celebrate it. And if you get line dancers, don't just have the bang, 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 and have the Chinese kids run around and then don't pay them, right? I mean, it's just, that's so standard. Do more, do pay them, do get authentic Chinese food, please no Panda Express, and talk to those kids, those Chinese Americans under the lion dance, and talk about the discipline. Why do they do it? What does it mean to them? How do they personally celebrate? And those sort of things. These are Chinese Americans. What's their life like, so amplify their voices, right? And otherwise they'll just be seen as foreigners. Yeah, there was firecrackers and they're really athletic, they're doing this thing, I don't know what they're doing, but that's important to them because they're foreigners, right? So I think doing these eye candy things without any education is more hurtful than helpful. By the way, in New York, Lunar New Year is an official holiday. So pretty exciting. So this podcast, it really is about learning how Asians are not all alike through history, through current events, a little bit of food, and much more. And really sharing more raw thoughts and feelings, because that's something you probably don't hear. You may think you hear, but you probably are not hearing it from your friends or your coworkers. Because they don't feel safe to say anything and they don't want you to feel bad and all these things. If you want to get the visual of this audio, you can go to Spotify or YouTube. And for show notes and transcription and links and pictures of the things we talked about, go to jolenejang.com and go into podcast. I'm also on LinkedIn, and I have an Asian Allies group if you'd like to join. And I speak all the time about Asian Americans and a good market to look into. I will talk to you next time.